Welcome to part one of this magical realism training, okay? There's going to be 3 parts, and we are going to go over the first part today, which is boundaries. Then we're going to go into your true self, and then we're going to go into forgiveness. And I'm going to bring it to you how to start to walk in the way. I'm going to talk about the Beauty Code Way and the Rewire Before, as well as the Gene Keys. So, like I said, there'll be those 3 parts. We're going to talk about it, and I'm sure I'll weave in the other 2 a little bit, just to keep you coming back. Okay, so boundaries. I am Brooke. I'm Brooke. Okay, that's what I'm gonna say today. And yes, I'm the owner, inventor of Beauty Codeway and the Rewire Before Technology, the spiritual technology, and I use the Gene Keys as a way in, a way to source my life, okay? It's just great. So that's what I'm bringing to you today as well. So let's get into this. Boundaries. Your biology. What? Why boundaries have anything to do with your biology? Well, it's because of the story you're telling yourself, which is your biography, which is one of the paradigms of the Beauty Code Way, which is your biology is created by your biography. So you are a walking around story that you have created. Now, most people, unless they've done deeper cellular work, are operating from beliefs that stem from your first 7 years, your second 7 years, and your third set of years is based on like your first and your second set of years, and so you're really not as expansive as you have the capability to be. And it's because most people don't know that the way to get to that capability is through inside. Now, knowing is one thing. Now, going through it is another thing. So, how do you know what boundaries are? How do you know where you need to create boundaries? How do you know? The first time I really boundaries, I have way too many boundaries, is what I thought. Like, oh my gosh, I'd stay away from everybody. I wouldn't be in anybody's business. I am full of boundaries, okay? And really it wasn't a boundary, it was a defense, it was a wall, it was a protective layer. That's not a boundary. A boundary is stepping into your true self. And how do you know your true self if your biology currently is created from the story you've been telling yourself since you came out of the womb, pre-womb, okay? And so if we haven't done the depth of work to find who am I? What thoughts are mine? What do I believe? Because we are in a system, in a society that is filling you full of beliefs. And you're so full of beliefs, there's no room for anything else. And so, in order to be able to begin to create your new story, one, there is a process. It's a transformational process, and I'm going to talk about it. But you have to take ownership and initiative that you're on your own. You're not alone, but you're on your own to do this. These answers are only found within you, your cells, your soul, your relationships, your conflicts, those things. They're not found out there. Okay? And so you got to say, all right, one foot in front of another. I don't even know what boundaries are. I know that just my heart and my soul is just saying boundaries. You need boundaries, okay? Well, right now I live in Minnesota, and so when I hear boundaries, I think of like the boundary waters. And if you don't know about the boundary waters is like, when you go to the boundary waters, you literally have, you simplify things. So people take a trek to like the Lake of the Woods or the boundary waters to leave behind everything, and go on this adventure with like nothing. They just have this energy of like testing themselves, right? And so think about that, the mass boundary waters, okay? That's what boundaries are. A shit ton of things. It's so many things, you wouldn't even believe how many things, and how we can simplify which things is through the gene keys, and I'll share with you how that can be possible. So you need to begin to create, craft, invent, party, play in a new story. This isn't like, what should I create and what should I come up with or anything. Like, you come at it with your heart, and that might look like making a huge list of what you no longer want. And if you no longer want these things, what do you want instead? And what you want instead is what we get to bring to that new story. Now, it's going to take a while walking in the way of that new story. I mean, like 7 years. But just know that because of the story you're telling yourself, because I don't care if, like it downloaded into you or you feel like you created it doesn't matter, but it's a new story. It's going to create new experiences. New things are going to come up. And when those things come up, are you going to be able to step into the truth of that story when you have no freaking clue how, where, why, what specific boundaries are holding you back or create self-sabotage? Okay? And so this is why we have a breakthrough session. This is why we decide to take a voyage. And this is the voyage back to yourself, a part of deconditioning, unlearning, because your essence, your truth, your gifts, your shadows are all just perfectly orchestrated by all parts of you and source. And so that's where you get to start to tap into other parts of you, which I'll talk about in video 3. So systematically, the things I do have been scientifically proven, yes. And so when I go at things, there's depths of science behind them, okay? And so the transformational process that I constantly bring people through, this is what I also bring, this portion I bring to my Ascension Daily, and this portion is what I bring to my one-page playbook. What am I working on? I work on one of these each month, okay? So yes, 5 months I go through, and then 5 months. And sometimes my heart says, nope, this is step back. This is just, you're gonna have to step back for 2 months. Okay. All right. And so that's part of creating the story as you're going along, as well as to be in flow, to be in connection, as you manifest, everything else that's out there completely changes. So everything is constantly changing. Your future is constantly changing by the biofeedbacks that you're creating right here, right now. Because I'm this person here right now, and me over there in the future is me based on this person. Now me, after I do this training, I'm going to be a different person here, and therefore then I'm going to create a different manifestation in the future. I'm not trying to blow your mind, but I'm trying to get you to see what is important, and that is right here, right now. And the voyage in the Gene Keys, the Venus sequence, the one thing that stuck out to me so much, 10 Mile said, the voyage is the success. The voyage is the success. You step into your own voyage, you are already successful. You have already succeeded, because that you over there in the future is already different. And that's why we take everything one step at a time. Okay? And, which is super fun. So the transformational process: step back, let go, say yes, rewire before action. This takes 4 weeks of prepping, 3 full weeks of prepping to therefore then take a specific action based on the 3 weeks, preparing each week to take just massive inspired action 1 week. Okay, so that's part of the rewire before, and that goes back to, if I'm going to take an action, what is that action going to look like? Well, it's going to be a vision. I got to step back to pay attention to a vision, right? Then I need awareness. What am I needing to let go of? And anything you let go of, even if it's something you absolutely hate, there is a process of grieving that is a lesson learned to seal in the deal, so you don't come back to this lesson again, right? And so then you've cleared some stuff out, you're able to say yes. Now, between the saying yes and letting go, it's critical to create a commitment to stick and stay, a commitment and like a connection to that commitment. Okay, and so that's what we do in week 3 with the one-page playbook, Ascension Daily Rewire Before, is pour our heart into our connection, not how good we're doing, how bad we're doing, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. No, we connect to why we are doing it, who we are being versus who we would like to become in the instance of creating a new story. So you have your new story written, so you have a connection to the story, and then when we go into week 4, we get to bring in intense fire action, quantum results type of action. Okay? But it gets lonely when you're doing this work that nobody can visually see. Yeah, they might feel it, but you are dealing with boundaries, one of the hardest things you could ever even imagine to take on. That needs conditions for inevitable success using accountability. Okay? And this is the first step into the Beauty Code way. Besides a consultation with me, but this is where the breakthrough comes in. Now, Gene Keys, I'm going to share this with you, okay? Not to, I don't know what it's not to do, but what it is to do is to really get your conscious mind around what it means to tackle a boundary. Because look at the big vastness of the boundary waters. Right? What are boundaries? We fight over our boundaries. The depths of fighting and war that come up when our boundaries are, when we go to focus on our boundaries are being threatened. Most of us just drop the boundaries so we don't have to have that threat. And that's not authentic. That is not our truth. Okay? Because you're just That's where people lose themselves, right? This is a voyage back to yourself, so you can comprehend that you have the power, and the only way to find it is to go on a journey within by creating a new story. Okay, create a new story. Now, if you want boundaries, okay, so I'm gonna, the reason why there's 3 trainings is because there's such a perfect trinity. I can't do 1, I have to do 3. Everything is a 3. Now, when I see 1, I see 3. And so that's also part of the gene keys. There's 3 that makes 1. But where we find this, what are we gonna do in our boundaries? And we're gonna have to bring our gift. How do you know what your gifts are? Like, from a cellular stance, not the gifts people tell you you're gifted at, not the school you went to that everybody else went to, the individual gifts that only you make up. Okay? And so you're going to need these attributes. You need to going to behave in these attributes. And most of us are not trained because of defense mechanisms, 3D consciousness, our systems, and then everyone that is around us is not vibing to these gifts. They're more or less vibing to a shadow, so it keeps the shadow around, okay? And that's where then you keep breaking and bending your boundaries and you don't know why. Well, it's because of who you're around, okay? So the gifts, you're gonna need freshness. It needs to be fresh. That's what we do by writing a new story. We need to create freshness to keep us in the game, okay? So if you're dull, lull, lackluster, don't have time to create a story, then you're gonna stay that way. But if you're like, oh my God, so I'm gonna bring freshness to my story, that's the gift, okay? You're gonna need innovation. It's only you, okay? You're gonna need understanding, patience. You're gonna have to be diplomatic, so you're gonna have amazing, spot on balance. And most people don't know how to create balance. Again, it goes back to the same things I said in the beginning. You're going to need guidance. You're going to need style. You're going to need determination. You're going to need to be naturally you, always. You're going to have to be versatile. You're going to have to be competent instead of compromising. Things need to be simple. You're going to have to accept things. You're going to have to bring in art. So exciting. You're going to have a commitment. You're going to have to lighten up. You're going to have to step into a leadership role, leading yourself. Okay. Strength. You're gonna have to say yes to an adventure. All right. Anticipation. You're going to have to work on detachment. You're going to need teamwork, synergy, resourcefulness. You're gonna have to step into the revolution that you're gonna create when you start to work on your boundaries. Oh, how is that gonna be possible, right? You're gonna need freedom, intuition, intimacy, inspiration, precision, and imagination. This is Gene Key's book by Richard Rude. And what I just shared with you is in the back of the book. And those are the gifts. And so with that being said, think. I'm going to bring my gifts to the boundaries, to my boundaries. Me creating a new story with my gifts in hand. I've got a toolbox full of my gifts. And that is the Gene Keys, because it's going to tell you what your gifts are. And I'm going to set sail within all of those gifts. But where do I set sail to? What do I bring my gifts to? I mean, boundaries, yeah, but what's that mean? Well, that means that there's going to have to be a process of unlearning and deconditioning. And that is the trek. That is the journey. Okay? And one thing that I want to invite you to is I have green on for a reason, and that is to the activation sequence within the gene keys. You using me as a reference, my number is 1933. Okay, my purpose and my radiance 1933. Okay, just in case you want to purchase that from me, that'd be amazing. And if you want, I'm really looking for some journeyers, some voyagers to take the trek on as a group, as a team through the activation sequence. So with that being said, also want to mention February, Ascension Daily is going to go deep into all of these in the sense of the whole month is based on expectations, working on expectations. And so bring my walking the way when it comes to the expectations. So February of 2024, I don't know when you're watching this, but let's bring this home so then we can go into the next training, which is all about your super soulful self, your truth, your authentic your authentic self. Okay, so transformational process is what it's going to take to find your boundaries, to stick to your boundaries. It's going to take a voyage, and in order to set sail on this voyage properly, you're going to have to create a new story. That's just the way it goes, okay? So it's time for a breakthrough, and I will see you tomorrow, or I'll see you in the next video, okay? All right, bye guys.